Welcome to the INFOWARS Nightly News. I'm David Knight. It's Thursday, April 2nd, 2015. Here are our top stories.
Tonight, over 100 murdered in a Kenya campus attack. Then, a new executive order is no April Fool's joke. And the feds fight with the Bundys. Again, that's next on the INFOWARS Nightly News.
But I know this, folks, we got criminals running the show. They're trying to mop up opposition. It's time to stand up and open a can of whoop ass on them politically.
Well, there was a terrorist attack in Kenya today at a university. 147 people killed, over 500 were captured and eventually freed, with only 4 gunmen. 79 students were injured. Many of the students were killed during morning prayers at a mosque. However, the terrorists were Muslims and specifically targeted Christians. They say the gunmen separated Christians from Muslims. Explosives were reportedly staged around the Christian hostages, and gunmen attended the morning prayers at the same campus mosque before they headed to the dorm. Now, the interesting thing about this is how helpless the people were. As they pointed out, they heard heavy gunfire. They didn't know where to run. They wound up running, many of them, at the terrorist, had to run past the terrorist. This is the same country, the same group, Al-Shabaab, the same country, Kenya, where we also saw a siege just about a year and a half ago. At that time, there was a siege in a mall, if you recall, that lasted for 4 days and ended up in the death of 60 civilians. Now, one of the things that was very noteworthy that happened in the aftermath of that, we reported at Infowars.com, the chief of Interpol went there, Secretary General Ronald Noble, and he had this to say. He said, ask yourself, if that was Denver, Colorado, if that was Texas, would those guys have been able to spend hours, days shooting people? Remember, this was days that this siege went on. He said, no, what I'm saying here is it makes police around the world question their views on gun control. It makes citizens question their views on gun control. You have to ask yourself, is an armed citizenry more necessary now than it was in the past with an evolving threat of terrorism? This is something that has to be discussed. Unfortunately, in Kenya, that's not the discussion that they're having. In Kenya, the article on USA Today reports that they say, well, we've suffered unnecessarily because we don't have enough manpower. That's the message that the Kenyan government is saying. They say Kenya badly needs additional officers, and I will not keep the nation waiting. And that was the president of Kenya speaking. Just understand, however, that if you have the people armed, as Alex Jones pointed out earlier today, as happened here in Austin when you had a shooter at the top of a tower, it was the armed citizenry that held him off initially. It was the armed citizenry that helped the police take him out, capture him, kill him. That's what is called posse comitatus. That's the real posse comitatus. That's not just an act that was enacted to keep the president from using the military as police force. No, posse comitatus means the power of the community. That was shortened to posse, but that was originally the intention, that the citizens would help the police. I don't think that adding a lot more police is really going to help them. It took several hours even today for the police to get there. Even though it didn't take days to end this siege, many people died. 147 died, 79 injured in the amount of time that it took the police to get there. And there were only 4 terrorists. Think about that. And think about the fact that the police in this country, even though we have a massive number of police, we have to ask ourselves, do we have too few police? Do you realize that we had more police per capita in New York than we did soldiers in Iraq when we were trying to occupy that nation? Yet we're not being made safer. In many cases, it's the police themselves that become a danger to us, as we see very many times. Look at this article that just came out on Huffington Post. Over 100 people were killed by the police nationwide in America in just the month of March. And actually, there were still a couple of days left in March when they came out with that. They say that's an average of more than 3 people killed per day in March by the police in America. And last week's Department of Justice report pointed out that the Philadelphia police had shot 400 people, over 80% of them African American, in just 7 years. They say this is a city where the police commissioner is now the author of the very same White House task force report that is calling for police reform. Maybe what we need to do is take the advice of the Interpol officer. We need to have an armed citizenry. We need to have the power of the community. And at the end of the show, we've got an interview with Cliven Bundy. But first, right after this break, we're going to be back with Joe Biggs. And as AI takes the wheels of our cars, who is responsible for the tragedies that may happen? He's going to break that down for you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
INFOWARS Life and INFOWARSLife.com is extremely excited to announce our latest release, Winter Sun, a revolutionary type of vitamin D3. Winter Sun is a premium quality vitamin D3 nutritional supplement. It is produced by extracting oil from healthy, nutrient-dense plants known as lichens. Every batch is analyzed for purity and D3 content. It's completely free of toxins and allergens. Simply put, if you want the best at an extremely low price, this is it. Winter Sun is the result of our pursuit of the best source of vitamin D3. The research and development took over 2 years, but the result, as verified by independent laboratories, is the best vegan vitamin D3 product in the world. Read the facts at InfoWarsLife.com about Winter Sun Vitamin D3. Not only does vitamin D3 promote a healthy mood, but vitamin D supports our memory and brain function, something the globalists are targeting. Visit InfoWars.com today or call 888-253-3139. The knowledge of the ancients, tried and true, trusted herbs and extracts fused with the latest nutraceutical science. Introducing the all-new Ancient Defense Herbal Immunity Blend, crafted with over 14 key ancient herbs and extracts to supercharge and prepare your body for what experts admit is the most dangerous season of the year. We have rejected hundreds of other formulations in our quest to bring you what is simply the most powerful and comprehensive proprietary formula that we have ever created in the realm of herbal immunity. For the last 2 years, our team has been working with top doctors, nutritionists, and chemists to develop the ultimate nutraceutical formulation. Experience the benefits of combining over 14 ancient herbs and extracts with exciting new advances in nutraceutical science. For a limited time, get 25% off on this introductory offer. Visit AncientDefense.com or call 888-253-3139. AncientDefense.com.
Joe Biggs here with InfoWars.com. Now, today I want to talk about something that I heard earlier in the Alex Jones broadcast on the show today. He played a clip of Warren Buffett speaking, and this is embedded in a Paul Joseph Watson article titled, "Warren Buffett, Artificial Intelligence Will Decide Whether or Not Humans Live or Die." So let's take a look at this clip, and then we'll analyze it after.
There's some interesting questions. I mean, let's just say you've got a self-driving car, and you're going down the street, and a 3-year-old kid runs out in front of the car, and there's another car coming the other direction with 4 people in it, and the computer's going to make the decision as to whether to hit the kid or hit the other car. You know, I'm not sure who gets sued under those. You're going to kill somebody, and it will be the computer that makes the decision in a nanosecond, and it'll be interesting to know who programs that computer and what their thoughts are about the values of human lives and things.
So this is the moral question. Like he said, if there's a 3-year-old child who walks out into traffic and then there is a car with 4 passengers inside that could swerve and possibly hit a tree, hit a pole, and kill 4 people, where does that moral decision go to? It goes to the person, whoever programs the computer, and that's what he brings up in this report. He says, "I'm not sure who gets sued over these circumstances. You're going to kill somebody, and it will be the computer that makes a decision in a nanosecond, and it will be interesting to know who programs that computer and what their thoughts are about the values of human lives and things." And that was the end of his statement. Now, we already know that the vaccine court exists. The vaccine court basically lets these big pharmaceutical companies who make these, vaccines impervious to being sued. So what that means is if you get a flu shot or your child gets some kind of vaccine and dies, you cannot go and sue these big pharmaceutical companies because of the vaccine court. Now, it got me thinking, who's going to be liable for deaths when these happen, when these driverless cars are implemented on the streets every day? Who gets sued for that? Because you, the driver, obviously aren't going to be, because they're trying to take that away from you. Now it's going to go to these huge automotive companies that will be owning all these driverless cars. Whoever owns that will be the powerhouse. And I have a feeling that the same concept of the vaccine court will be implemented with the automotive industry with driverless cars. That if you die or your children die driving or riding in a car, I should say, you can't go and sue whatever company is that's making it, because they will be impervious to that due to some new type of vaccine court that'll cover these automotive industries that are making these driverless cars. So that's something that's very scary, that you're going to be driving around in something like that. You can't get any kind of compensation for loss of life, anything like that whatsoever. They will not be held liable for that. And that's something that you have to think about. That is, to me, one of the scariest things. And then the other fact that knowing that if you're driving down the road and the car realizes that you're late on child support, you're behind on taxes, anything like that, the car can essentially shut down, notify local law enforcement, the doors will lock, and this will be like a small prison cell holding you there until, the authorities arrive to essentially take you and detain you and put you in jail and book you. So this is just another example of our government trying to inject this artificial intelligence into our lives when clearly we don't need that. People need to be held responsible for the crappy decisions that they make. There needs to be someone that you can look at and go, hey, you mess up, you need to be held accountable for this, and not have some vaccine court that goes, oh, we're covered, you guys can't do anything to us, sorry. We said on the labels there that there's, a chance that something could happen if you take this. And meanwhile, the government's shoving it down your throat every day in commercials on TV, getting people like LeBron James or whoever, celebrities, to endorse the fact that you should go and get your vaccines. I mean, this is just out of control, this world we live in. And now they're taking the same concept of artificial intelligence, removing the human emotion away to make a good, sound decision into our VA systems. So now we have the IBM Watson program back in the news again today, and it kind of meshes well with the fact of what we're talking about with these driverless cars, taking the human emotion away and decision-making behind life-changing decisions. Now, we already know that the VA has death panels. It's been proven. We've heard Bill Gates talk about it. This is something that we know. It's now in the mainstream. Tons of vets have died and are dying, waiting, seeking medical attention at these poorly ran VA hospitals all across the country. And yay for Austin, because they've decided to bring in this evil program, IBM Watson, here to my town to run the VA's data center. Yeah, I mean, that's something that literally makes my blood boil, to know that we're going to put some artificial intelligent computer in there that's not really intelligent, because in order to have intelligence, I think you also have to have a bit of human emotion as well to be able to make good, sound decisions when regarding people's lives. Now, what they want to use this for is to help treat PTSD patients. Now, I'm pretty sure IBM Watson never deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan, Vietnam, Korea, Panama, wherever, ever. I doubt that very much, but what I do know about IBM Watson, I'm going to tell you in this upcoming report.
Focus, and 3, 2, 1.
Tonight, IBM, friend or foe? IBM has been announced as the winner of a long-term VA contract to modernize the electronic health records management system for the embattled VA. IBM will utilize the latest technology to provide up-to-the-minute care for veterans all across this great country. The VA released a statement. We are serious about health of our nation's heroes and are sparing no expense to update, modernize, and create an efficient system to diagnose and provide real-time healthcare solutions for those who have served our country. We thank IBM, a company that has a long history providing cutting-edge information technology solutions, for stepping in, providing leadership and experience that will be valuable to our country and save taxpayers money. Hold on. This isn't who we are. No. Give me those freaking cue cards, man. You know what? You know what's going to happen with this? You know what the implications are of this Watson program that's going to come up? It's a computer that they're going to use to replace the doctors at the VA to do the death panels that have been going on, to help take away human